my reaction to Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett, which just took place in the main event of UFC 324, where Justin Gaethje won the fight by decision over Paddy Pimblett. He wins the interim title in what was one of the greatest fights I've ever seen in my entire life of watching this sport. I've seen so many fights, and even before I was into this sport, I've watched back older fights from the past. This is up there with one of the greatest fights of all time. An absolute legendary fight to kick off the Paramount era in their first main event on pay-per-view. I have no idea. Listen, Justin
Gaethje just defeated Paddy Pimblett by decision in the UFC 34 main event, capturing the interim title in what I can confidently say was one of the greatest fights I have ever witnessed in this sport. This was far beyond an average slugfest. It was an all-out war from start to finish. A perfect, chaotic opening for the very first pay-per-view main event of the Paramount era. The pressure never stopped. Every second felt tense, shocking, and unpredictable.
I have no idea how Paddy Pimblett did not get flatline KO'd on about 50 different occasions. If he lost, yes, he did lose, and if he lost any stock from this, the one saving grace is that he's been saying for a long time, we don't get knocked out, lad. And that would be the worst thing to happen to him. If he got KO'd in one of these fights badly, that would just be his ridicule forever. What happened to Scousers don't get knocked out, and it would just be images of Paddy Pimblett out cold. I have no idea how he didn't get flatlined in this fight. Justin Gaethje was cracking him with so many overhand rights. And the worst part was...
Justin Gaethje just defeated Paddy Pimblett by decision in the UFC 34 main event, capturing the interim title in what I can confidently say was one of the greatest fights I have ever witnessed in this sport. This was far beyond an average slugfest. It was an all-out war from start to finish. A perfect, chaotic opening for the very first pay-per-view main event of the Paramount era. The pressure never stopped. Every second felt tense, shocking, and unpredictable.
It's going to be seen as biased for me to bring this up. I bring up fouls in every fight breakdown I do. I know I wanted Paddy to win, but I am going to bring up the fouls. Gaethje fought very fucking dirty in this fight. A lot of eye pokes, a groin shot as well. I think Paddy Pimblett had a groin shot that he landed too, but that was towards the end of the fight where it was just an absolute mess of a scrap between the two of them. But Gaethje landed some really, really bad eye pokes on him. But it doesn't matter because the result is the result. Pimblett gets beaten over 5 rounds. At one point in the third, and we can go through this bit by bit, round 1 through round 5. Round 1...
What made Pimblett's toughness even more unbelievable was how openly he took the punishment. Whether he was throwing strikes or simply absorbing them, he often ended exchanges with his chin high and his jaw completely exposed. Gaethje would load up, and you could physically see people brace for the knockout that felt inevitable. But it never came. Pimblett almost seemed built to be hit, yet in a bizarre way, the blows just didn't shut him down.
Gaethje not wobbled by any of these shots. Gaethje's chin is absolutely insane as well. That needs to be mentioned too. Pimblett was landing body kicks, knees to the body, low kicks, wasn't shooting any takedowns. Because I picked the mixed martial artist to win. So he was just duking it out with Gaethje in round 1 and 2. Low kicks, body kicks, head kicks out of nowhere, uppercuts, hooks. He was landing good shots on Gaethje. And Gaethje just at one point said, it's nothing, like that to him, and was just eating these shots. And then when Gaethje got going after the eye poke that he landed on Pimblett, which was pretty bad, and I was thinking, oh my God, no.
The fight wasn't without controversy. Gaethje committed several fouls throughout the bout, including multiple questionable low blows late in the fight during intense exchanges. These infractions were obvious and came at critical moments, disrupting momentum and affecting the fairness of an already chaotic contest.
Teeps, low kicks, knees, punches, chin up in the air. You're wondering every time, when is he going to get slept? There's so many moments, and I was screaming, yes, we are DDP, basically, in the middle of this, because it was just like, dude, this is plot armor. How is he surviving these moments so narrowly, with millimeters to spare? Gaethje swinging these overhooks. And it's not even like Pimblett was landing and then weaving and then, you know, like coolly slipping out of the way of these shots. He was just there to be hit, but in such an awkward way that the shots were just whizzing past his head and face on so many occasions. I really thought this is it.
The opening moments genuinely caught me off guard. Gaethje looked slightly cautious, and Pimblett took full advantage, landing clean body shots early. For a brief stretch, it truly felt like Paddy might pull off the impossible and defeat Gaethje. My entire focus shifted to the idea that Pimblett could actually do this. That unexpected start immediately hooked everyone and set an intense tone for the rest of the fight.
Against the cage in round 2, and then Gaethje cracks him with an overhand and drops him really bad in round 2. And it should be mentioned, a lot of the damage on Pimblett came from that moment. Amazing performance from Gaethje. Turned back the clock. I thought Pimblett was going to win. Don't get me wrong. But he did thumb him in the eye, and Goddard did nothing about it, even though he warned him about the eye poke before. Thumbed him in the eye, and then cracked him with a right hand that dropped him after that, and Pimblett then proceeded to really badly beat the shit out of Pimblett on the ground with ground and pound for about a minute straight. I think round 2 could be scored a 10-8, so even if you took a point...
The fight became completely wild. Even though Pimblett landed some shockingly powerful low kicks, body kicks, and sudden head kicks, Gaethje just kept marching forward. He appeared to deliberately absorb shots early, almost conditioning himself to the impact so nothing caught him off guard. His guard stayed tight, and he took everything Pimblett threw at him, showing a level of durability very few fighters possess.
Same version, but if he lands this on other fighters, they are going out. We've seen it. We've seen other fighters get put out by that. This is like Ferguson level chin, prime Ferguson level chin from Paddy Pimblett. Hopefully he doesn't have a similar trajectory after the Gaethje fight, but he was eating some heaters off of Gaethje in round 4. Still landing his own back and having some good moments, but this is when it started to go bad. Like he would have a moment, then slip, end up on bottom. Gaethje's on top in that north-south, punching him in the head over and over again. Round 5, Gaethje won the 5th maybe, looking back at these stats, but Pimblett kind of had him wobbled at one point in the round, so I think that could maybe sway it a little bit, but one judge...
A particularly nasty eye poke brought the action to a halt. My thoughts immediately went to Tom Aspinall and other British fighters whose title bouts ended in controversy. But Pimblett, eyes wide and refusing to quit, pushed on. Moments later, he was badly hurt by another heavy strike following the foul. It was a brutal sequence that highlighted both Gaethje's ruthless offense and Pimblett's unbreakable resolve.
I still can't believe what I watched. When I compare this to other great fights in UFC history, Gustafsson gets, that was a shit fight for 3 rounds. Then it was 4th round, Gustafsson was doing good, and then he gets wobbled by the really good ending of the 4th round. And then round 5 was a decent round as well. But this comparable stuff, but with more chaos on the feet in terms of the shots they were landing on each other. Non-stop violence, because these weren't like tappy shots that they were landing on each other, you know? It wasn't like 27
After the eye poke, Gaethje unleashed a vicious attack. He dropped Pimblett hard in the 2nd round with a brutal overhand right. That was followed by nearly a minute of savage ground and pound, which resulted in a 10-8 round. That single moment made winning extremely difficult for Pimblett unless he could secure a finish. His survival during this stretch felt unreal. He absorbed massive shots to the jaw, yet somehow recovered, stood back up, and began firing back as if he hadn't just been rocked. His escapes from disaster by mere inches had me yelling at the screen, wondering how any human could endure that level of non-stop punishment. Watching this fight, it was impossible not to think of Ilia Topuria. The sheer aggression, the constant jaw-testing exchanges, made it feel like Ilia would be watching closely. Seeing this level of violence unfold was both thrilling and uncomfortable, highlighting just how extreme this battle truly was. Round 3 brought a dramatic momentum shift. Despite the punishment he had already taken, Pimblett found a second wind and started taking control. He led in significant strikes, breaking Gaethje down with accuracy and power. For a moment, I genuinely believed Pimblett was about to take over and score a TKO. His offense in the 3rd round was relentless. Jabs, body shots, leg kicks, everything started landing. Gaethje began to wobble, visibly feeling the damage and losing his balance. Pimblett's body attacks and leg kicks forced Gaethje onto the defensive, completing one of the most exciting comebacks in an already insane fight. Just as Pimblett was surging, he landed a jumping knee that unfortunately struck Gaethje in the groin, causing another pause. It briefly slowed his momentum. Still, he managed to finish the round strong, showing remarkable composure and the ability to regain focus even after an accidental foul. In round 4, Gaethje, the ever-determined warrior, found his rhythm again. He began snapping his jab, which opened the door for his deadly overhand rights. At one point, Gaethje landed 3 overhand rights in a row, shots that normally put fighters away. Yet Pimblett stayed standing. His chin in this fight reached a level comparable to peak Tony Ferguson. We've seen what Gaethje's overhand rights do to top fighters, but Pimblett absorbed them unlike anyone else. Even in round 4, while taking huge bombs and being on the edge of a knockout, he still landed his own shots and had moments of success. It was grit bordering on recklessness. The statistics from this fight barely tell the story. These weren't light strikes. Almost every significant strike was thrown with full power and landed clean. The non-stop brutality and force behind each exchange made the fight incredibly difficult to score. Both men showed shocking conditioning. Despite concerns about Pimblett's cardio late in the fight, he proved he could go all 5 rounds with an elite lightweight. That alone changes how many people view his future. The dirty moments earlier in the fight, especially the eye pokes from Gaethje, remain a sore subject. While fouls do happen in fights, the lack of consequences, given how severe some of them were, raises serious questions about refereeing standards in high-stakes bouts. This fight wasn't just good. It was necessary. UFC 34 desperately needed this after a largely underwhelming card filled with dull matchups and strange production issues. This main event saved the show. It justified the booking despite early criticism and launched the Paramount era with something unforgettable. In the end, the battle between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett is already being talked about as a strong fight of the year contender, and possibly one of the greatest UFC fights ever. It stands above bouts like Jones vs. Gustafsson, where the action truly ignited later, and belongs alongside wars like Glover-Teixeira's most brutal battles for its non-stop, savage intensity. Both fighters earned immense respect and delivered a performance that will be remembered as legendary.